Okay, this is N2RRA, November 2, Romeo Alpha.
It's now running mic in at 100, no compression, with bandwidth at wide transmit. And from this point, I'm going to go to mid-range. Mid-range here, again with the hollow traveler headset, with the windscreen on this time around. And I'm going to, with no compression, mic in at 100. Now I'm going to go to narrow here, narrow band with windscreen, mic in at 100.
Alright guys, this video here is pertaining to adjusting your Icom 7000's transmit bandwidth adjustment for both FM, simplex, and your FM repeaters. Not only just HF. Now what this is going to do is, on HF, we'll give you the option, or VHF, UHF weak signal work, by the way, which is 6 440, 432 actually, megahertz single sideband function is going to give you the three options that we're going to go through in the menu, as far as wide transmit bandwidth audio quality, mid-range transmit bandwidth quality adjustment, and your narrow band. Now, wide range usually is a low frequency response, gives you more bass in your audio, more depth in your audio, kind of more of a natural sound to your voice. And is usually comfortable for most users' ears, or the mid-range for that matter, which reduces a little bit of the low frequency response, which is your lower end bass quality, and induces more of your mid-range to high-range audio, which is tends to be a lot clearer for some older operators or some other operators' preferences alone. And then of course your narrow bandwidth really cuts and reduces a lot of the low frequency bass, pretty much all of it, and just inserts more of the mid-range and more high-range frequency responses, so that this way you're heard a lot better through pile-ups, through noise, band noise, QRM, QR Nancy situations. So we're going to run through those through the menu real quick and show you how to adjust that. Simply just push the top left-hand corner, which is your AF or RF squelch. You're going to come up to your set mode menu. You're going to hit function number 1, which is your quick set, where you'll find your mic gain and your RF power levels. Okay, as you can see, my mic gain is set at 50%. Okay, here we have your single sideband TBW, which is transmit bandwidth, wide, low range. Now these are set and forget settings. Once you set these, does not matter what microphone you install with the radio. You never have to go back into this menu here at all, simply because the frequency responses I'm going to give you are the standard in amateur radio, where you'll have your wide, you'll have your mid-range, you'll have your narrow settings that are basically common and typical. They're the most practical and most usable frequency responses that you're going to utilize. What comes from the factory, it's not set from factory, so you do have to make these adjustments. The factory settings are not quite, what can I say, usable. So you definitely want to make these adjustments prior to operating. And you will get good reports this way. So your sideband transmit bandwidth low frequency response is going to be set at 100 hertz. Now you use your VFO to make these adjustments. As you can see on the bottom right hand corner, you'll see the 100, 200 hertz, now 300 hertz, and 500 hertz frequency settings. Now wide, remember, is for more bass, more natural sounding audio if you want. So we want to set the low frequency at 100. Press F2 to scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to see that you're still in the wide transmit bandwidth, but the H is for the high frequency setting. I like to set mine to 2900 kilohertz. Now, most sideband filters go up to about 2.7, 2.8, and really this is where you're going to get your highest, let's say, treble frequency response, where your clarity is there, your high frequency responses are there, and this helps you, this is the frequency response that really helps you pierce through a lot of the QRM and QR Nancy on the band. So you definitely want the 2900 kilohertz setting. Now if I adjust this, you'll see, and this applies for the mid-range and the low frequency, but you're going to see that we could go from 2900 the highest, to 2800, to 2.7, to 2.5, as your lowest setting on your high frequency responses. Now, like I said, most filters usually go up to about 2.7. So if you want to just set it to the highest at 2.7, someone's using a 2.7 kilohertz filter, they're going to hear you. They're going to hear your quality at 2.7. But if they're running a 2.8 or higher filter, they're not going to hear that treble at 2.8. They're going to hear you. They're not going to hear as much treble at 2.8 filter, which a lot of guys like to run nowadays. They like to run ESSB, and they want to hear all the frequency responses that the radio is producing. So it's better to just cover your audio either 2.8 or 2.9 at its highest setting, because what you're effectively doing is you're transmitting the high frequency response all throughout, from 2500 kilohertz all the way up to 2.9. So any filter that someone's using, whether it be 2.9, 2.8, a 3K filter, or as little as a 2.5 filter, that you're covering, basically, your transmitted audio is covering the full range of audio response spectrum. So whatever filter that individual is using, they're going to hear you at your optimum level. So it's better just to set it at 2900. You get the best treble sound out of it, and no matter what filter anyone's using, whether it be 3K, 2.9, 2.8, 2.7, they're going to hear your full treble responses. So it's really just best to adjust it to 2900. So now we're going to go down to the mid-range. As you can see, the high changed to mid. Same thing, sideband, transmit bandwidth, mid-range, low frequency response. I like to cut the 100 hertz spectrum to 200, because 200 to 300 hertz is where you start getting into the mid-range audio response. And this tends to be more, I should say, more of a natural sounding type of audio, where it probably pulls out more of your natural voice tones, whereas the wide range induces a little bit more bass to your transmitted audio. So you want to reduce some of the bass, and you just want to effectively stay in the mid-range area. Then your mid-range low frequency should show at 200 hertz. We'll go down to high, and we'll keep that at 2900 kilohertz. As I said, it's best just to cover the full spectrum of the treble responses. So this way, no matter what filter anyone's using, they're going to hear your full effective treble. And really, the mid-range to treble is what you need to cut through the QRM, QRNT anyway. Really effectively, all you're doing is, by making these adjustments, is reducing the amount of bass, which sometimes could come into play and be a problem with trying to crash through pile-ups, or again get through band noises of any kind, splatter, atmospheric noises and such. Now we go down to the narrow. Now this is more of the DX'ing, contesting type of audio, where all your bass and some of your lower frequency mid-range gets cut out, and all you have is your mid-range to narrow band. It's kind of like using a Heil DX4 element. As everyone knows, Heil makes an element called a DX4 element because it has a very narrow banded audio response, and effectively it's been well known by contesters and DXers alike, as myself, that it really plays a big role in crashing the pileups and such. So basically, the radio does that, gives you that function with almost any microphone you use, with pretty much any microphone you use for that matter, because it's cutting the radio's actual transmitted bandwidth audio for you without having to swap a microphone. So here on the narrow low frequency, we're going to set it at 300 hertz, and here you have it at 2900 kilohertz here. Now, this is as far as you can go. So you've got your narrow bandwidth setting, 2900, low frequency 300, mid-range 2900 high, low frequency mid-range 200. Your wide band high is at 2900 kilohertz, and wide low range at 100 hertz. So that's it. Basically, you can, whether you're using a Heil Traveler headset like I do in the mobile, or a Heil 5-element microphone of some sort, or any microphone for that matter, this handheld stock microphone. I find that mic gain at 50% is more than what I need. I don't need to adjust it to 100. Maybe in some cases, depending on the individual, you do. I don't know. You'd have to find your own range for that. And in that case, RF power at 100. And there you have it. Once that's set, you get out of the menu by hitting your bottom menu button. You can hold down this menu here. And now, as you see here, it says TBW. That TBW, if you just hit for a second, it's going to tell you for a brief second what transmitted bandwidth setting you're on. Okay, see, sideband wide. Now if I hold it in, it'll take me to my mid-range. So you see mid-range. If I hold it in for another second, it takes me to my narrow bandwidth. See, narrow, NAR, hold it again, wide, mid, narrow. Okay, so wide for bass, mid-range for a little less bass, narrow for no bass, basically is what it's doing for you. So wide for rag chew, mid-range for rag chew, getting to some of the noise, and narrow for DXing or contesting to help you to get through all the noise best as possible. So there you have it. That's how you adjust your single sideband, whether it be HF, VHF, or UHF transmitted audio, and it is effective against, again, it's a set and forget menu setting. You never have to touch it again. Just apply your mic gain setting to the way you like it, and whatever microphone you're using, and adjust your audio quality to whatever the situation requires. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Walk through the menu setting, set this before you even start operating, and you're good to go. Then you can start experimenting with whatever microphone that you put in place, and from there, happy hunting. Enjoy your Icom 7000.
Yo, Skrill, drop it hard.